Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, depending on where you are. Welcome everyone to Journey to the Cloud 7.0. My name is Matthew Browne. I'm here with my host Dan Ray, and we're hosting the Journey to the Cloud webinar series, which deals with all things tech, certification, advice, and career advancement. So, welcome everyone. Delighted to have you all here again. It's been a while since we've done this. I suppose our speakers tonight are going to be Dan Ray, MVP, Arindam Mitra, DevOps expert, Roma, Power Apps and MVP, and Henry Evans, Henry Evans, Junior Help Desk Analyst. So welcome to the speakers. Our judges tonight will be Frank Falvey, Matthew Browne, and Solomon Jeremiah, in the absence of Mica, who couldn't be here this evening. So welcome everyone.
Hello.
Thanks for having us, Matthew. Thank you. Great person.
Thank you, Matt.
Okay, all right. Okay, so tonight we decided to mix it up a bit. We're going to have presentations from everyone, the four speakers, and none of us knew what we were going to be talking about. So it'll be interesting to hear all the different presentations. We're going to start with Henry. Henry, do you want to take the floor and present? And we'll
I'm
go
hoping
from
the
there.
technology works for me here. I have not used this before, so let's see if this works.
Hopefully all the best, Henry.
Oh, first time speaking, we'll see what happens, I suppose. Let's have a quick look, see if I can get this to work. Yeah. Oh dear, right.
Henry, are you able to share your screen?
I can do it as a shared screen instead. Yeah, that's it working just there. Awesome. Okay. So, I believe that'll just be me good to go then, I reckon. Henry. Oh, hang on a minute then. Are you able to hear me just now? I'm getting a feed off here.
Yes, you're good.
I can hear you, Henry.
Yeah, I'm getting a feed on here.
I can hear you.
Righty-ho, hang on a minute. It's very strange. Hang on a minute then.
Yeah, Henry, I can't hear you, but I'm not sure.
Can't hear you either, Henry.
Matt, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear. I can hear you.
Because I can hear Henry loud and clear. I don't know.
Okay. Yeah, me too.
It's very strange. Not working correctly for whatever reason.
Now I could hear you there, Henry.
Is that better? Hopefully.
And it's gone again.
It's gone again. Okay.
No,
that's very strange. I've got half the people that can hear me and half the people that can't. This is a brilliant.
Okay.
Oh, dear me. Right.
If you share your screen again, Henry, and
yeah, I'll try this again just here. Let's try this again and just see if this works. I added it as a source as advised, and for whatever reason, it showed up perfectly fine. So can people see that?
Yeah.
And can people hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Good to go. Yes,
I can.
So I've got 3 people that can hear me. Can Matthew hear me? Hopefully. I'm not sure if Matthew can hear me or Dan in that case.
Can you hear me, Henry?
That's fine.
Yeah, I have 3 that can hear me. I can hear.
Yeah, work away, Henry.
Frank. Right. Okay. Just to provide a rough outline.
Yeah, I can, Henry. Work away.
Just to provide a rough outline, Matthew invited me to do this talk around about a week or two ago and said, talk about a few certifications, those being MS900, SC900, and PL900 in a creative way. So what I've tried to do is culminate all the information that I've learned across doing 4 of these certifications and really put an action guide together for people who, like myself a year ago, didn't really know much about IT or who may want to get into a job. So that's the whole idea of this presentation. It's a guide to somebody who may be new to this environment. I just want to sort of outline who I am as an individual. I've never done this before, so cut me some slack. My name is Henry Evans. I currently work as a service desk analyst. I work in the NHS, so I deal with a lot of first-line technical problems. So if somebody's having an issue with a piece of technology inside their business, it's realistically my job to help them out as best I can and meet service delivery targets and so on and so forth. That's a lot of what my role encompasses at the moment. As I've explained, I have achieved 4 out of the 8 Microsoft Fundamentals certifications. I have Azure Fundamentals, the Security Fundamentals, probably the favorite one so far. I've done Microsoft 365 Fundamentals, and around about 2 or 3 days ago, I passed the AI 900 Fundamentals course. Currently working towards Data Fundamentals 900 at the moment, the DP 900 one. And I really wanted to take this opportunity to, as I mentioned before, really outline to somebody who may be new to all of this exactly how to do it, because I don't want them to be in the position that I was in around about 6 months to a year ago, where I had to learn all this from scratch, with a little bit of help and support from mentors and my networking community that I value a lot. Just to provide an overview of my professional experience, I've worked in IT and by extension technical support and sales for around about 4 years. I've worked in a service desk analyst role for around about 4 or 5 months at this point. It's taken a lot to learn everything you need to learn for it. It's very full on, but I do enjoy it. And eventually I kind of want to go into cybersecurity and particularly making a move towards identity access management at the moment. If you want to stay up to date with any future events, updates, things like that, things like this event as well, ordinarily I'll post it on LinkedIn. I've got a little QR code there as well. Just makes it nice and easy to get access to my profile and everything that I post at the moment. I'm hoping to try and build out a blog at some point down the road as well. Just some ways to give back to the community and to really put the knowledge that I've gained out there to help other people realistically. I've got a very simplistic agenda. It's going to be pretty full on. I've tried my best to simplify it as far as possible and to make it easy to read so that if people want to download it after the show, they can, and they can action these points as fast as possible. And I've got a few surprises in there as well, just to keep it nice and light. I'm going to go through what's called the certification cycle. This is a model that I have coined through doing 4 of these certifications. It really details all the different steps that are involved in achieving Microsoft Fundamental certifications and by extension, preparing your mindset for the more complicated ones that will come down the road. I'm thinking associate, specialty, and those role-based expert certifications that come down the road. Before this presentation, around about 30 minutes beforehand, I took this model and applied it to a certification I'd never seen before. I applied it to Power Platform 900. Had never studied any of this. I've never touched it. I'm planning on passing and studying it in around about 2-3 weeks' time. So I will actually use this plan for that certification. However, I wanted to demonstrate its practicality and its ease of use for people that may not be in the environment where they look at this all the time, or they're just wanting to get used to IT. They're just familiarizing themselves with core concepts, things like that. There'll be an open Q&A at the end. This will provide an opportunity for people who may be watching this after the show to maybe get some of the burning questions that they have on their mind answered by the people who are in the show, or people who might be putting messages in chat, things like that. Realistically, and it's got a rather funny acronym, it's the certification cycle, or also known as the PRAT cycle. Now, it encompasses 5 different key steps, and all those key steps are pivotal in you not only being able to recall the content that is contained within Microsoft Fundamental Certification courses, but being able to understand it and critically implement it in different situations. It goes beyond perhaps what Microsoft require for their examinations, where it is a lot of memory retention of certain topics, features, things like that. That's what that preparation cycle is. It's about working out what your vision is as an individual. Where do you want to go? What do you want to do? Where do you think these certifications will take you? And then it's about breaking that down into action steps. Okay, which certifications do I need to do to get where I need to go? And then it's about breaking it down even further and focusing on individual certifications. Okay, if I know I need AZ 900, PL 900, PL 400, 600, so on and so forth to achieve what I want to achieve, let's start at AZ 900 and work our way up. And again, it's really coming to a point of, are you prepared to take action? Are you prepared to research this? Are you happy doing this? That research cycle really focuses in on a specific certification. It takes that one that you identified in the preparation stage and really focuses down on, okay, this is what I need to do. These are the requirements I need to know. I need to know this. I need to know that. This is how long it's going to take me to do it. And realistically, this is what I'm going to get out of it. Taking action, oftentimes people see as the most difficult part, but if you do preparation and research correctly, it is the easiest bit. Just sitting there, doing courses, actively taking notes, breaking them down based on the requirements analysis you did, and really just reminding yourself of the vision that you have overall is really, really important. And then the bit that some people don't like is the testing phase, making sure that you don't only sort of can identify certain topics, you can understand how they would be implemented in different situations. There are a lot of different resources and things like that I found that work really well and can really cement the knowledge that you need to know for these examinations, but also so you can take that knowledge forward so that you can take it into a workspace, so that you can apply it in an interview scenario. Because realistically, that's where these skills are going to be valuable, helping you get a job, helping you update your skills, and really giving back to the community as well. I think that's really, really important. And one thing that I really forgot about with the first maybe 2 or 3 certifications was taking a time out to treat myself. You're really at a point where you're trying to achieve something. You really should seek to get something out of it, not only the knowledge that you build, but also a nice separated thing from IT. I think it's very easy to get self-absorbed into all of this and to really dig down into, I need to do this, 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 and this, without maybe taking a step back, preventing that burnout, preventing you from wanting to walk away because you're doing too much all at once. And I think that's really important to talk about as we move on. Rightio, let's break down preparation. Sorry. Your vision in your role is really important. What role do you want to do in IT? Where do you want to go? What is it that you want to do? What vision do you have in mind for the future? And again, it's identifying those certifications. What certifications do you need to get where you want to go? There are different roles that Microsoft offer. There are different paths that they do based on the roles that you want to do, based on the different things that you want to achieve, based on the different positions you might want in your career and your lifestyle. Selecting the certifications becomes a very important stage as well. It's bringing that big picture down to very individualized steps. Okay, you've identified where you want to go, how you want to get there, but you're not going to get there if you don't break it down a little bit further and focus on the little bits and pieces as you go through. It's also about time investment as well. If you've never done a Microsoft certification before, there may not be any compass for this. There may not be any understanding or any idea about how long this might take. And you see this a lot on very introductory videos on things like Azure Fundamentals, where people are asking, well, how long is this going to take me? Realistically, I would say about 4 weeks is a good time frame for if you've never done an IT certification from Microsoft before, particularly their fundamentals. Breaking it down over 4 weeks gives you plenty of time to prepare yourself and to pass the examination. And the one bit of advice that I didn't take on the first exam and I've implemented all the way forward as we've gone through is booking the exam early. When you understand the time investment involved, getting that exam booked straight away gives you an accountability level. You are looking at the certification and saying, okay, I have to be ready by this date. Otherwise, I might forfeit the financial investment I've made in it. I might have to reschedule that examination. It will interfere with other things in my life. It really does keep you accountable to that. And really picking these certifications and working out the journey and identifying the pathway can be really, really simple with the Become Microsoft Certified document. They tend to update this once every month or two, and it goes into really, really good detail about all the different certifications they offer, because it can be a bit of a minefield on sometimes understanding how fundamentals transition to associate, transition to speciality, how it then transition to expert, and trying to build and understand how that works. It took me a little bit of time. And this document really helps cement that process, that understanding of how you move from one to the other and what the learning expectations are. Your research phase moves on from preparation. You've decided to set a certain certification. How do you actually go about doing it? It's a lot of common questions that you see. Requirement analysis is the first focal point. It is getting those exam objectives and really understanding what it is you need to know and what it is really that you need to understand. Your learning sources will focus on where you gain that information from. Where am I pulling this information? Is the information accurate? Is it catered towards the exam objectives? Is it making sure that I'm understanding what I would need to know for an entry-level role that focuses on the certification itself? You're talking about things like Microsoft Learn. That is absolutely the most critical resource I could recommend. It is tailored to exam objectives. That should be your first port of call. You've got external resources as well. Udemy is a particular favorite because they have a lot of different courses. Again, it's very important to be critically analytical of those courses just to make sure that they are covering the right things and that they're in date. And if your organization has an agreement with Microsoft through the Enterprise Skills Initiative, they have a lot of resources that you can attach to your work account. And I find that's been rather helpful for myself as well. You've got things like LinkedIn Learning and a few other different resources. Not that I've had much experience with them, but they are valid just the same. Time management and organizational tools. Again, this is, you understand the time investment that you need for this examination. You know how long it's probably going to take you. How do you break that down? How are you achieving those objectives in a timely fashion? How are you getting to the point where you're making steady progress? And what organizational tools are you doing to support that? It's very well and good making sure that you know what you need to do, how much time you need to invest into it, but where in your schedule does that fit? Do you have an hour break during your lunch that you can fit an hour study in? Do you have a 30-minute commute where you can stick a podcast on and start engaging with some of the content through audio? What different methods and means do you use to engage with that content? Do you prefer video? Do you like writing notes? Do you prefer listening to things? It's really about thinking about that. And this whole preparation and research process should realistically result in a study plan, an actionable, simple guide that you can say, okay, I know how to do this, 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 and this. And hopefully, 99% of the time, you will end up with the certification. You won't just end up with the certification, you'll end up understanding the content focused on so that you can apply it in practical scenarios. And that's really what this model focuses on. And it's what's helped me pass these examinations. This is a particularly useful instrument for the requirements analysis. Again, Microsoft have been overhauling a lot of their support examination documentation. This is all your skills measured, the different objectives for the examination, and the different things or very specific mediums that you need to focus on, and you need to understand how to practically apply these. I like to focus my notes around these. I'll create a header with a specific bullet point, and then I'll be able to understand, okay, I need to understand or describe what the shared responsibility model is, putting a description there and how I could apply it in a practical scenario. Then means if I forget it, when we talk about reinforcing our learning later on, I have a very quick resource that I can go back to without having to search through a Microsoft Learn course or maybe a video course that I've used to learn that content in the first place. I can appreciate this has been rather in-depth to begin with. So I wanted to take the load off a little bit for those that are maybe watching remotely or very, very quickly whizzing notes in a notepad or whatever the case may be, or maybe just be listening. I hope this was an appreciated little addition, but I thought I would take the opportunity to take a second or two out just so I can take a glass of water and so that we can continue with the rest of the model so that we understand how to practically apply it. For those that are wondering, the tabby cat is Fable. And the other cat is Loki, the black and white one. They're my two cats I've had for about a year. Moving on though, if we move on to the action phase. So this is in the middle of the model. Okay, we've got a study plan. We know what it is we need to do. We know how to get there. We know how long it's going to take us. Is it realistic? Taking that moment for critical thinking and just saying, I tend to sleep on this moment, to be fair, to make sure that I know the plan that I've done in the evening is correct and it's right. Have I missed anything? Are there learning sources I can maybe take advantage of? So on and so forth. And really, this is the easy bit. You've done all the prep work. You've done the planning. Just keeping in mind that you focus on one course at a time. If you don't understand a certain topic or you're struggling to understand what's going on, absolutely integrate different courses into it for those specific things. But I found that focusing on one course specifically makes sure that you remain accountable to your learning objectives, and it makes sure that you understand it in a consistent fashion. You're learning it, particularly in the Microsoft Learn course, you're learning it in order of the objectives most of the time. When you get to the end of that process, when you've reviewed 1, 2, 3, 4 courses, however many you think you need to pass, it's about reviewing that content, reviewing those notes, bringing them down to a point where you can stick them on maybe 2 or 3 pages, that you can go through that reinforcement process constantly through your written notes. It's also for that understanding element and Microsoft Learn does a really good job of this through some of their courses. AI 900 in particular is a very good example of this. Having practical opportunities to study the concepts that are discussed. For example, in MS 900, they talk about a lot of the M365 Admin Center. That can be a little bit inaccessible depending on your knowledge of the ecosystem itself. So creating a developer account, for example, gives you access to loads of different features associated with Microsoft. It gives you the opportunity to test identity concepts, for like you would need to for SC900. It gives you a lot of opportunity to test M365 admin portal features and a lot of the different compliance and security aspects of Microsoft that would benefit your learning. Again, then you've got to think about how you share that. When you've got these 3, 4, 5 course certificates and you're passing these practice examinations, which we'll get to in a minute, at 80, 90%, how do you then share that with your network? How do you build your personal brand out? How do you get to a point where you're associating yourself with the hard work and effort you already put in? I think it's an important element in your process of building up your professional brand. It's very, very important. And I think it does get overlooked sometimes. I've overlooked it in the past. I think it's very much something that needs to be invested in. But taking baby steps at a time, trying different things, trying simple things, just to get you introduced into that space and really reaching out to people. Again, as I said before, that practical reinforcement learning is very, very important. This is a screenshot of the Azure Portal. This is just the homepage, just to clarify. There is so many different things that you can see here that you can access, that you can get available. A lot of Azure services are free. There's a very long list of them that's available on Microsoft website. I would absolutely Google Microsoft Azure free services just so you understand what's going on. And again, this links into what certification I would recommend for individuals to begin with. And it absolutely has to be Azure Fundamentals, the AZ900. It links into so many other different things. And you can really start to develop out a niche purely by learning how this works. It's one of the best certifications that Microsoft offers. And it's definitely something that I would recommend to new people, especially myself a year ago, if I was going to do this again. Moving on to slide 12. This is the testing phase. This is the bit where myself, sometimes I get a little bit nervous with this bit because I want to make sure that I validated what I've learned and I know what I'm doing and that I understand the concepts. I can practically apply these. If my employer said tomorrow I need to learn how to do this, I can do it. That's realistically what I'm doing these certifications for. That links back into your vision and what role you want to do, as we explained at the beginning. Practice examinations come in many, many forms. Microsoft have on most of their certification pages, if not all of them, if memory serves me correct, they have around about 15 to 20 questions that reflect a lot of what you'll see in exams. They're not exact copies, but again, they are similar to what you'll see, and they're a good guideline of your performance. Just writing down after you've done courses, what your grades are. If you're getting 15, 16, 17 out of 20, most times you'll be okay. It's about reviewing that performance, making sure that you are hitting those targets, making sure that you are getting above 70, 80%, and making sure you are achieving what you want to achieve. As you'll see in a minute, there was a practical example of this when I was studying for SC900. If you're not hitting the mark, though, it's very, very important to go back to that research phase. It's very important to make sure that the learning sources you're using are valid, that you are taking effective notes, that you are following the requirement analysis that you did, that you looked at the exam objectives correctly, and that you're understanding what you need to study. And again, if it involves redoing specific courses, that reinforcement can sometimes make the difference. It might drive you a little bit crazy to watch the same course 2 or 3 times. I know it certainly does to me sometimes, but it's one of those things where if you want to reinforce and understand something, this is the best way to do it, through practical learning. And again, it's going on the Azure Portal as well, trying those practical exercises and reinforcing what you've learned from Microsoft Learn and all the other learning sources we talked about before. And again, it goes down to the final exam as well. When you're ready, you need, well, I'll clarify, you don't need to take it. If you are learning this to understand these services and move on, that's absolutely valid and okay. You don't need to sit examinations, as I've heard many, many times from examiners and people who deliver the courses for these particular subjects. But most of the time, people will want to do these to get the examination passed, to validate what they've learned. And I think once you've done everything else, this becomes a very easy process. Microsoft has an exam sandbox on their website. You can experiment with the different question types. There are experiments that you can do, and the sandbox is a really good environment to test that. I believe you just type in Microsoft Sandbox, you should be able to find it without any issues at all. This is the example I was talking about before. I was preparing for SC900. I was in this testing phase at the end of the course, and I wanted to gauge what my studying was like, where I was hitting the required targets. Again, something to keep in mind, this was a Udemy one. This is not sort of officially sanctioned by Microsoft, but they do a very, very good job of these questions. They are fairly reflective of what you'll see. 20 questions, again, not really reflective, but the idea being is that you are understanding the core concepts, going back to the requirement analysis, you're hitting the main target, your notes are effective, your practical learning has worked. And again, even if you get 90%, working at the areas that you didn't know and didn't understand, and maybe going back and reinforcing those things can be rather useful, because sometimes there may be that one exam question that gets you when you could have prepared for it a little bit better. If we move on to slide 14, this is a phase a lot of people forget about. It's about treating yourself after you put in a lot of hard work. You want to avoid burnout. This is something that I've personally experienced and that some of the individuals in this webinar have experienced as well from my interactions with people. Burnout can kill momentum. It really, really can. And giving yourself a break in between certifications so that you can rest, reset, and get yourself back in the mindset of learning is better than losing a week or two because you try to do 3 or 4 at once. It's about gamifying the rewards as well. You're achieving objectives. I try to liken this to video game objectives almost. You're achieving a certain target. How important is that target to your overall goals, your overall mission, and having a reward that's equitable to that goal? It's about that balance between strategic rewards and tactical rewards and goals. Is a super long-term goal that I've just hit? Well, I might reward myself with maybe an Apple Watch or a holiday or something to that effect. Is this a tactical reward that may not make a massive difference, but will contribute to my overall arching goals? Yeah, so I might go out for an evening with a couple of friends, I might go for a drink, I might buy a book, things like that. You've got to balance that between what you're trying to achieve. And it's about reflecting on that process as well. You set out to achieve a goal. Did the techniques you had work? Did they work out? Were there things you could have done better? Were there things that you learned about that benefited your job? Things like that, so that the next process can be more efficient, more streamlined, and eventually you can bring that time investment for the examination or for the course itself back down again. You start to understand things a lot quicker, and you get more momentum the more search you do, because you start to see topics crop up again and again and again, and it makes it a lot easier. It maintains that momentum. That's what we're looking for realistically when we're studying certifications. This was just an example of a reward that I had after AI 900. I went to the theatre with my partner, and it was a really nice way to take 2 days out, to have an evening out with people that I enjoy spending time with, and to make sure that I can now continue doing DP 900, which is the next one, without thinking I've done 5 certs before this that is burning me out at this point. It's very, very important, so I wouldn't underestimate this in the slightest. So how can you apply this model, or how can you be a pract effectively? As I mentioned to begin with, I had never seen Power Platform 900 before this talk. About 30 minutes beforehand, I sat here and applied this model in front of this computer to see if it worked. And realistically, based on my past experience, I was able to apply it well. A role that I would want to achieve out of Power Platform over the long term would be to be a Power Platform developer. I want to work in this ecosystem. I want to develop applications. I want to develop business solutions within Power Platform. Okay, well, let's work out what certifications I need. Well, Azure is going to be really important because of how well it links in with Power Platform. Power Platform fundamentals is going to be really important because you need to understand the foundations of Power Platform itself. And then how do you take that to the associate level and the expert level? And maybe what specialities do you want in between? That's where your PR 400 and 600 come in. It's about having a look at what your current expertise is. I've passed AZ 900 already. I've got that foundational knowledge. I don't have any other knowledge of Power Platform, so I'd be starting at PR 900. I want to understand how to get to that point and then move upwards to the associate and expert level certifications. Timeline is 2 weeks. Again, like I said, the more fundamental certifications you do, the easier it becomes. I've gotten it down from 4 to 2 just because I like to have that time period to understand the content. It gives me enough time during the schedule I have, the organizational tools I use, and the time remaining that I have during breaks, lunches, things like that, to practically understand most, if not all, of the exam objectives. You've got to think about peer review, booking the exam. Is there a training day you can go on? Is there maybe a free voucher you can get out of that? And what reward are you going to give yourself at the end? What goal is this representing? Is it tactical? Is it strategic? How is this contributing to, will this land me a job? Will this make that big, big difference? Or is this maybe a smaller stepping stone? That requirement analysis comes from the exam objectives, 110%. These should be your Bible for every fundamental cert. And again, structuring your notes out in respect to each of the little phrases and sentences that are there is really, really vital. You've got all your learning sources as well, Learn, an Azure subscription for practical learning. ESI, if your company has an ESI agreement or an Enterprise Skills Initiative agreement, absolutely leverage that. It is a fantastic platform. Udemy, to a lesser extent, but again, has some really good examinations and practice exams, as we've seen. And again, can you get a training day? Sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. It just depends on when you decide to do it. But don't delay doing it just because there isn't one. You can do a lot of your studying yourself. Again, tactical goal setting, I'll use Google Calendar just to make sure I'm a week ahead, I'm keeping an eye on things, or 2 weeks ahead, I've got all the time scheduled in, I know what I'm doing. On an operational basis or a day-to-day basis, I know I have to have a little to-do list just to make sure I know what I'm doing, where things are going to go, how things integrate with my schedule, so on and so forth. Again, I've got to judge whether that safe is realistic under the action phase. I've got to monitor my progress to make sure I'm making progress against my deadline and that I'm not falling behind, that I can actually pass the exam in 2 weeks. After each subject, I'm looking at reviewing content. I'm making sure that my content is aligning to those exam objectives and that I can't only recall them, but I can understand how they would apply in a business scenario, for example, because that's what employers will ultimately be looking for. If I do have any weaknesses or things that I don't really understand or I can't retain the knowledge of, I'm going to reinforce those weaknesses. I'm going to go back through those sources and watch those videos and drive myself mental in the process. And again, I'm going to share those experiences. I'm going to go on LinkedIn. I'm going to share my reflections on this process. Eventually will have a blog at some point. I'm in the process of developing that. I would go on Twitter and maybe ask MVPs for support or people within my network of how they may have navigated these. It's all about that professional network. It's all about giving back, but also other people helping you out when you need help. It's a very reciprocal relationship from my own experience. Again, when you're testing yourself, practice examinations, Microsoft Learn is the golden standard for this. ESI, if you have it, they have a measure up practice examination that is very reflective of the exams. Again, not many people may have it depending on which company you work for. And then Udemy as well. Again, a practical example I showed you before that you can use to reinforce what you know. If you're getting 80% plus, that's the time you should think about taking the exam. You're hitting 10% above what they're going for. I'd like to clarify their questions and responses and examinations are weighted. So it's not a matter of just passing 70% of the questions. It's very much about understanding 70% of what you're going to get tested on. It's really, really important to understand. If you're not hitting 80%, go back to that research phase, research things. Are you hitting the objectives? Are your learning resources good? Are you doing the right things to achieve what you want to achieve? And then the final examination, are you at a point where you can do it earlier? Are you at a point where you need to push that back? Think about how that will interfere with other things in life as well. And think about holding yourself accountable to those things. If you're finding that holding yourself accountable to 2 weeks is not realistic, pull it back to 3. There's no harm. You're still going to do a better job if you give yourself the time to do this. And again, going back to that treating phase, that rewarding yourself, take a break after exam. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of hard work. I've had experience of burnout. It's not fun. Absolutely take a break. I tend to take a weekend over it. I'll do it on a Friday night or a Sunday night, and I'll take the first 2 days of the week off just to give myself a relaxing time period. Again, because this is a Power Platform's fundamental cert, it's not going to land me a job, but it's really going to contribute towards that career job, that me wanting to work as a Power Platform developer, for example. And I might buy a new book for that because it's a tactical reward. I'm not going to go on holiday for just passing one certification. It's very important to keep them grounded in what you're trying to do. And again, it's reflecting on that experience. What did you do well? What did you not do well? What learning sources worked well? And baking that into your critical analysis of learning sources back in the research phase when you do the next one. And then after those 2 days, you're going to restart the cycle again. You've had a break, you've had a reset, you're ready to get back into action, and you're ready to achieve the fundamentals to work towards your goals. And it prevents that burnout that can be very, very dangerous for people in IT that are required to certify themselves on a continuous basis from burning out and from having potentially negative mental health effects from that. I can totally appreciate that was very in-depth and quite explanatory and everything else. Does anybody have any sort of questions or anything about what I've discussed, or maybe more to the point, how to practically apply this in maybe their own situations that they're experiencing at the moment? If you're maybe sitting a fundamental set, for example. You're more than welcome to put questions in the chat, or if you want to just say them audibly, I'm more than happy to answer them. I'll take an open mic session, so to speak.
Thank you very much, Henry, for the presentation. It was quite good, actually. Really interesting. You brought up some great topics. We're just running a few minutes behind. So what we will do is we'll move on in the next minute to the next speaker. Once again, Henry, thank you for a great presentation. Really appreciate it.
I hope it helps people that are in my position or that were in my position.
Okay, so has everyone got their mics on?
Yeah.
All right. So one of the biggest things for me about Journey to the Cloud is that Microsoft really does hold a dear part in my heart. So we're just going to. This is something that for people aspiring to become Microsoft certified and they're looking at what it means to be Microsoft certified. It's a really important video to have a look at it before you want to go down this route. I do want to remind. Sorry, Arindam, did you say my voice was cracking?
I think so. I don't know about others. I know. Are they able to hear it?
Sound okay for me.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. I do.
Okay for me too.
I do think we're having minor issues tonight with Restream because I could hear Henry perfect on LinkedIn, but I couldn't hear him on my desktop or anything. So what you call it? Okay, just to get back to my point, and everyone can hear me, yes?
Yeah.
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. So just to remind everyone, all rights are reserved for the respected owners and companies. Media shown is for educational purposes only and not to be reproduced. So on that note, we're going to go to a quick educational video on why Microsoft certification is important.
Microsoft certifications provide globally recognized and industry-endorsed evidence of mastering technical skills. They demonstrate a willingness to embrace new technologies and simplify talent identification.
We live in a world where we don't have a 3-year cycle product release. We have a 3-hour cycle product release. We have to keep up with that. The pace of change is phenomenal. And yeah, training, certification is definitely going to change around that arena.
Aligned to job roles that meet today's and future industry and market needs, Microsoft certifications validate skills and capabilities required to be successful.
If I get hired in a new role, if I get promoted, if I get transferred somewhere else, they can look at the certification without having to do an in-depth study of me, and they can say, okay, this person knows this, 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 and this.
I think that certifications help me personally know and give me confidence that I do know what I'm talking about, and it shows the community and my boss that, you know, I've got that qualification as well.
According to research, 67% of tech professionals say certifications build confidence. 41% are happier with their jobs, and 35% say certifications made them more excited and optimistic about their career.
It allows you to evaluate a person and make a determination around the fact that they are able to learn, that they can do things that allow them to perform a particular role, and that role requires a certain skill, and that certification is a demonstration of that skill.
For an employee to come in with a certification shows that they have drive and they have initiative. We want people who want to better themselves because they'll take the job, they'll learn, they'll push, they'll disrupt, hopefully they'll help us innovate, and at the end, that's what we want.
Stay ahead, get hired, and receive the recognition you deserve.
So one of the biggest things in that video for me is that we want people to innovate, to disrupt, and to inspire. And that's what I try to do with Journey to the Cloud. That was the whole point of this series and setting it up. And I believe the kind of people we have on our webinars and video series are the kind of people that innovate, create, and change how the world looks at technology. So that video is important, and it's important for anyone getting started in Microsoft exams. To continue on that note, I am really happy to welcome Roma Gupta. She is a MVP for Microsoft Power Platform. She has worked her way up to one of the highest accreditations, and Roma works for Microsoft as well. So Roma, welcome to the Journey to the Cloud 7.0. We're really happy to have you. I appreciate you giving up your time this evening to join us. Roma, please take the stage. Can everyone please mute mics and video cameras for Roma? Thank you.
Thank you so much. I hope you're able to see my screen.
Yes, I can see your screen.
Perfect. So Henry has covered everything, honestly, whatever is needed for a certification, whether it is fundamentals, associate, or architect level. It does not matter whether you are a Power Platform or Azure or Data. He has already covered the basics. What we're going to do is we're going to talk about Power Platform, and this would be a mix of associate and little towards architect if you want to move in that journey ahead. So let's talk about how Power Platform also loves cloud since this is Journey to the Cloud. I'm Roma Gupta. I've recently joined Microsoft. Not recently, yes, a year now. And if you've not already noted, the presentation is in Power Apps directly, and this is a Canvas app right now. Let's talk a little about me before we deep dive today. I am a Dynamics 365 and Power Platform SME. I was business applications MVP. So how it works is if you are an MVP, you cannot be a Microsoft employee, or if you're a Microsoft employee, the MVP title goes away. So that's how I'm an ex-MVP right now. I'm very passionate about technology, and that's one of the reasons I'm here today. On a personal note, I love gardening, reading, and cooking. And since I cook, I'm also a big foodie. I'm presenting to you this from South Africa, where I'm based from the past few years. And of course, please feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn and Twitter. But please reach with an intent. Don't just say hi and how are you, and I will, I will honestly will not respond to you. Let's move on. In today's agenda, I'm going to share you a little about things you would want to know if you want to go towards your associate certifications. How the Power Platform is extensible. So it does not matter whether you are pro code, that means you are like very good with C# codings or APIs, or the low code ones, let's say you are citizen developers, the certification is for you. We have made it like that. We'll see a quick demo because yes, associate level and the architect level needs to have some hands-on practice on the environment. The theoretical knowledge would not just help, and then of course we can go ahead with the question and answers. Moving on. If you've never seen this is the new ecosystem that we have in Power Platform with Power Pages recently launched with Microsoft Build. We have Power Apps. Listening here for the first time, Power Apps is the place where you build apps, the low-code apps or the no-code apps, and Power Automate is the backbone who gives you, like, let's say, who creates all the workflows and automations. Then we have Power BI for all your analytics and fancy dashboards. Power Virtual Agents are the chatbot features. So if you're thinking, I have zero coding knowledge, how can I start? Or is this platform for me? This platform is absolutely for you because we have created some amazing drag drop features so that you can start today. And the journey is easy. So when I talk about state level certification or how you can do that, I remember when I gave my certification, I was like, okay, this is helping, this I know, and that I know. I was literally going that in my mind. But the only reason was because I had a very hands-on practice. So you need to have some thorough knowledge of the environment, as well as it would be very beneficial for you if you have created some use cases from yourself. You should at least know what are the different products that do, and I'm sure the certifications would be updated since the launch of Power Pages. Moving on, in the bottom, we have Dataworks, the database which we give from the Power Platform, but you're more than welcome to use your own data source. Power Pages is what we also known as, let's say, if you want to create beautiful web pages and you don't know PHP, HTML, it's okay. Power Pages will give you all the templates and drag and drop features along with security, so you can do that. And it's the latest in market. We also have some awesome AI builder features and Power FX. Recently, we have also launched the Rpa Developer Certifications, and that is one of the certifications that I have not done yet, and I'm looking forward to doing it. And then, of course, we are using Power FX formulas. This is simple formulas. If you have used Excel, you know what we are talking about. So together, this makes the ecosystem of Power Platform. The associate level certification mostly talks between Power Apps and Power Automate and some formulas and the controls, how it works together. So moving on. We also have some pre-built connectors, and it is important for you to know what are the standard connectors and what are some premium connectors. Because in some cases the license questions comes in picture, and then there are some confusing questions also. So if you want to get a little okay with licenses, the connectors will also help you, because sometimes even if you're not sure which license should apply or should I get the knowledge of license or not, if you know the standard connector and the premium connectors and their differences, you should be able to pass. And by the way, we do have a lot of connectors, which is like 700 plus connectors. So if you're not sure like whether my data source is there or not, we have got you covered. But if you're someone who thinks no, my data source would not be there, and even after searching you don't found it, then you are one of the pro code developers, and you can always make your custom connectors. Custom connectors is again one of the topic that comes in associate level exams, and it is good if you have got a hands-on on that piece. Moving on. This is my favorite image of the Power Platform, where it shows you how extensible the platform is. It easily connects with GitHub, Azure DevOps, your Visual Code, and your VS Code. If you're thinking, why should I know this? I'm just showing you because it does not matter where you fit in. If you're a pro code developer, if you're from Azure DevOps side, your GitHub side, or you just started working with Power Apps and maybe using Excel connectors, the platform is for you and the certification is also for you. But make sure if you're from the low code side, as Henry mentioned just now, make sure you do some fundamentals first, because you know something. Then you're super and then you're ready to go for your associate level. But make sure you practice a lot. They ask you formulas, and trust me, when you create a use case in the environment, you are okay, because the IntelliSense work, it gives you options for the formulas. But during the exam, you don't know. And as simple as the square brackets or the angular brackets and the syntax, I would say the syntax is what you would want to check, because there are some cases where the formula is perfect, but there was syntax that was missing, there was brackets that was missing. So those are some bonus questions that would that we should really check out in those associate level. All right, moving on. Demo. Okay, let's move to the new tab. I'm gonna do the demo first, and then we'll see and we'll talk about the different component for you to understand each component at least once, or at least have a look and see what it does. Or if not, just read about it if you are not able to let's say use it. Okay, before I move forward, if you're thinking how should I start doing it, there are two ways to start it. You can either trial environment in your, some of the organizations have also blocked creation of trial environments. In that case, you are more than welcome to use a developer account. It's free of cost. And what is the advantage of using a developer environment is, if you're making use cases and you're active in the environment, the product group at Microsoft side sees that the person is active in that developer environment and is using it frequently. So what he will do is, the subscription, which is supposed to expire after 3 months, they renew it. So they renew every 3 months as long as they see that you are using it actively. So if not trial environment, go for a developer environment and use it. Coming back to this demo, what I've done here is I have a picture control, then I have a text image, and you can see some hover over happening. I have not worked much on the UI. There's a button, and it's also important for you to know the components and how you can change them, and what are the different types of properties that the components have. Some of them are really useful and handy. Over here, I have a gallery, which is for now showing some images and their names. I have some icons over here. The shape of the icons refer to, of course, delete, and this is like a refresh or a reload button. Then I've put some labels and just renamed it. Let's see it in working. I'm gonna click over here. Let's search. I've got a polywork profile. I'm just gonna upload the picture. If you see, it's telling me that please type a name with an extension. So as soon as I type, if you notice, the numbers, the alphabets of the words were gone. The reason is because it's a hint text. It's not an actual text written in text box. It's a hint text using for your UI experience, for user to tell, or for someone who have never used it, for them to tell. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to click on the image. I'm going to upload this image. Now, if you're thinking where does the image went, the image went to my Azure storage. And if you noticed, the image is not even loaded here. That's the trick. I've not even refreshed the gallery. So let's click and reload the gallery. If you noticed, the polywork image appeared here. There is some path over here and the ID. And then of course there's a delete feature. So let's say I want to delete this. I can click. If you noticed, if I take my mouse over here, the name is coming delete. These are some of the UX experience that we want to know. How do you want to update it? All right, let's see this image also in the Azure, because I cannot say that Roma is just around. No, let's move to the another tab. I've got here my Azure Portal. Again, this is one of my developer accounts that I'm using it for a very long time. I'm just going to refresh this. And if you're thinking what it is a container that I've created for the demo environment, and the blobs are updated over here. If you notice, the polywork PNG is the second one right over here with the modified date and time. This is one side of how you see it. The other side is from the Storage Explorer. If you notice, the Storage Explorer has been open for quite a long time, and it is also not updated here. So let me refresh it. And if you notice, the polywork is updated. So there are two ways of checking it out. I'm just going to minimize it and go back here. Okay. Now if you're thinking what happened and how do I do this? This I would in my real life. Let's start. Cool. This is the designer window that we call. First things first, the environment is always here on the top right. I have only one screen, and sorry about this. I've not done my naming conventions. I always do it. We have got, let me expand it. Okay. We have got some cool navigations on the top, like insert, view, and of course you can call a Power Automate from here. The AI builder is on this side. We have got mixed reality, and the gallery is here. On the action, I've got the Power Automate. All right. As mentioned, these are the labels. The text input. On the text input on the right side, always the property is open. If you notice on the hint text, the property name is hint text. If you click on the hint text, notice this automatically came. If I'm going to click on default, it is click to default. So these are some of the tricks that you want to know when you want to do a use case of your own. Moving on. The hint text is what goes automatically. You don't have to delete it to type on your own name. And then some of the properties, font size, font weight are enabled. Notice here we have also enabled the spell check. So you don't make errors and you don't have to make extra validations for the naming conventions. This is a media property that is already available. So if you see this is clubbed together, it's already available out of the box. I've just drag and dropped it. How you do it? You can just come here, for example, let's just put an text input. It's gonna come over here. By default, any text inputs come like this. If I'm gonna do this, going back anyway, and then I've just modified this text property to look similar to this, something on the UI side. But yes, on the associate level, they don't ask you. They ask you question formulas and components and which components do what. So make sure you familiarize yourself with all the components on the top over here and what everything do and how to like talk between Power Apps and let's say Power Automate, for example. Quick things on the upload, I've got a formula. I've already done a format text. If you want to remove formatting, the things are available here. I'm using the Azure Blob Storage. The connector is available out of the box for me. Then it has a create file function. I'm just using my the Azure storage, my text box, the media property, and then once it is done, once the file is created, I'm resetting it just from the UI purpose. Otherwise, the names would still stuck there. So that's how the media is updated. How to view it, whatever is just uploaded, is via gallery. Anything that you want to view at any given point of time, you use either gallery or data table, and both has got its own advantages and disadvantages. So make sure you read in detail what is a gallery, what is a data table. If you notice here, the gallery has got different components and the gallery also has different layouts. I'm using the layout with the image title, so there are multiple depending upon your need. This is the path where the images are stored. You would need for your use case, but I just wanted to show it here for the demo purposes, and then I've got just the ID. The delete function is really cool because then I'm again calling my Azure Blob function using the delete file, and then I'm telling it which item to pass. So this item property is very cool in Power Platform. It holds the object that you're actually playing with, and yeah, it deletes. But what is the code after it? The clear collect is one of the function we have in Power Platform. This is my variable that I have, the collection name, and then I'm asking it to refresh my folder so that if I close this, so that this gallery is updated. So if you want to see it in action, let's delete this one. Okay, notice deleted first, so the delete happened, then the clear collect formula ran, and then this is updated. So that was a quick demo that you can do and create. But coming back and going to the presentation, since I'm running too fast, I think. Thank you so much. I'm not sure if I've covered everything or I was way too fast, but when it comes to associate or architect level, please do not hesitate. Go book some extra time, know your tools, know some use cases, know the formulas, and work it on. And that's how you would just kill it, the exam, or nail the exam. And if you're wondering how many certifications I have done, I've used the same tactics as Henry mentioned and did a use case preparations. I've got more than 10 certifications for now, including the Power Platforms. So I've got all the certifications from Power Platform, including the architect level, and it will become easy. Just make sure when you go for the architect level ones, some queries or questions from the Dynamics because they are the PL600. So make sure you go study well and take your time. Some of the things may or may not apply to you. If you're a visual person like me, just create a developer environment, dig in, get your hands dirty, and nail the exam. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Roma. That was really, really, really good. I'm sure everyone will agree that that was really interesting. I've never really seen Power Apps run, so that was interesting. What you call it? Has anybody got any questions?
It's the future anyway, isn't it? They're going to be here to stay. Power Apps.
Yeah, absolutely. And how long had you been working in Power Apps, Roma, to get to the stage you are at in your career? I suppose just for any other men or women looking to kind of, branch out into Power Apps and be that kind of a developer. How long have you been at it?
So first things first, we all must understand that Power Platform is fairly new, right? So it does not, nobody would have like 8 years of experience in Power Platform. So I fairly have like 4 years of experience. I started my journey with Dynamics 365 when it was like CRM 2011. So that's how the model driven and the Dataworks concepts have deep dived into Power Platform. And that's my strong area, of course. I've been in that space for quite a long time. Then I started like what Henry just mentioned, like, you start with fundamentals. So I did it. I did some practice, so that's how I did the fundamentals, and I was like, oh, this is fairly simple. I know this, I know that, and that's how I nailed the fundamentals. And I'm like, that gave me motivation that yes, let's do the second level. So I think I did 15 days of my preparation, and then I went ahead for the associate level. But I just took 15 days because I was already familiar and I was working with my previous company in that space. So I knew how everything works. I knew the formulas very well. So I was like, let's do that. But the main thing, yes, I forgot to mention the learning parts. Make sure you do the learning parts. They're almost always up to date. So I always do my learning parts, and it's amazing to see the learning parts also gives you some rewards, right? So I'm not sure. I'm sitting on some level 15 or 13. I don't know, but the learning parts are amazing. So you start from there and you nail it on. So yeah, 15 up, but yeah, the range is quite long. Being the girl in this space, you're gonna rock it. Trust me, especially for the girls, the women in tech.
What's it like? So, Roma, you and I had a discussion beforehand, before tonight's presentation. What's it like being the only girl in the room and having to straighten out all those men and tell them they're wrong? What is that like? Because we've got perspective from Lorraine Lawrence, who gave her opinion on how that played out. What's your opinion when you've to you've to tell them how it is?
It's a nightmare. In my entire career, to be honest, when I was a fresher, I was the only girl with the boys team. Then as I moved on in the career, I would say it was only boys, like all the boys. The biggest team that I have was, I think, 12 boys, including the project manager, delivery manager, and then I was the only girl. So I'm like, how to talk to these boys, like in a professional way, because every time they would be off for coffee, they won't ask me. They were like, I felt left out. I'm like, this guys is something wrong. I don't know if this is culture difference or traditionals. I don't know. So I just got my way in. I did what I was good at, which is technology. And then eventually people started talking to me because they knew this is the girl who can solve my issue. But it's changing slowly also.
Yeah, we're getting there with it. I think one of we had a question from the audience.
Yeah.
Yes. Can I read the question out?
Yes.
So someone is asking, how do we connect the dots from Power Apps to Power Automate? Did you get the question? Let me send it to you.
I got it, Solomon.
Okay.
Okay, you
got it. Okay.
You don't connect the dots between Power Apps and Power Automate. It's already connected. It depends. Everything depends on your use case, right? Let's say what? Okay, let's take an easy example. You want to use Power Apps as a front end. Let's say you just filled a simple form or a leave request. On the click of submission, you want the data to be stored in SharePoint or Dataverse, but you also want yourself and your manager to receive an email. The email sending is not out of box in Power Apps. So you will use the underlying connection of Power Automate. Like I showed an insert tab that had got the action. You will call your Power Automate flow. All the flows that are got in the same environment in which your Power App is, you will see your flow. The flow is already developed, or you can create one, and then you will just simply call it. So on the click of the button, you will have two things done. You will submit the form, and then you will also trigger your Power Automate flow that will send you the email notifications and approvals if you want. So that's how you do it. You decide at which point you have to call your Power Automate and just call it from the insert ribbon on the top. I hope that makes sense.
Yes, that really makes sense. Yeah, I think I now get a grab of it.
Okay, so honestly, Roma, thank you so much. I know you did point out you're a former MVP. Once an MVP, always an MVP. You're a valued member of the MVP community. Don't forget that you should connect with MVP Reconnect.
Of course.
That's always there, even if you're a Microsoft employee. As far as I know, you can still do that. So look. That was really interesting. We need more women like you in tech. There's not enough of them, honestly. That is my opinion. And I suppose myself, Dan, Ray, Arindam, Henry, and Solomon, we had a session a few months back with CompTIA certifications as session, and he said it as well. He said there is a lack of women in the tech sector, and I think it's something that. Okay, first of all, it's a lack of women, but it's a lack of women that, speak multiple languages, multiple tech disciplines. It's just something we don't have enough of. So, kudos to you. You're an amazing representation of what it's like to work in Dynamics, CRM, and Power Apps. So you are always welcome here, and we are so thankful you joined us this evening, Roma. Honestly, from that second I reached out to you on LinkedIn. That's what the MVP community is about. You just, you get stuck in, get involved. And for anyone that's listening, because we did have a query, we actually did have a query from someone, and it was interesting. They were saying they wanted to know how to become an MVP. I don't know where to start. From Pop Nuru, I'm probably saying that wrong, but to be honest, I want to let Dan say his bit here because he has it right. Dan, do you want to say what you've always said? And I think it's really important for people watching this.
Yeah, so that's one piece that I guess took me a while to wrap my head around. Unlike many other things like the Microsoft Certified Trainer, the MVP is an award that is given out. So you have to be nominated. If you're not nominated, you're never going to become an MVP. But the nomination is the easy part. The work that you do in that community for 12 months is something you want to do because you're passionate about it. You don't want to work towards an MVP as, like an achievement. It's something that you document because you're passionate about. And then, there are people that talk about how to become an MVP. I like to think of it as something that you work towards achievements. This award is the recognition potentially at the end of, it can be years. I've been working as an MCT for 22 years. So think of that as like my my prerequisite to even being considered for MVP.
Considered. Yeah, absolutely. And I do want to say Henry had reached out a few days back and he said, let's get some MVPs on the call. And I said, well, Henry, first of all, you have one MVP that's always on the call. And second of all, you have two MVP nominated people that are awaiting confirmation if they get it or not. And it's not a case of if you get it, it's if you're deserving of getting it. MVP is something that is highly respected. You put in what you get out of it, and you do it without expecting to get the award. So Roma knows all about being an MVP because she was one, and Roma was very active from what I can see on LinkedIn and other groups. When you got awarded, I'm correct in saying that, aren't I, Roma? You were on a lot and helping a lot of people out in the Dynamics and Power App space.
Yes. I did. A lot of people know me. Somehow they've read my blogs, they've reached out. I just wanted to share a funny incident. From my previous company, I opened a Microsoft ticket, and somehow those guys knew me. So when the next day when we came on call, we discussed everything. But at the end of the call, they asked me, "Are you the same person who's like that techie girl?" I'm like, I'm the same. So it was, I don't know, a pride, a good moment, and a motivate because people know me from at least that name. And so I think that's on next level. So what you do is just you contribute, somebody would see your contributions, and then the nomination will come through. It's not a certificate that you will just get it as an MVP. So you have to honor that thing as well.
Just to add, Matthew, just to add here that, as I am also an aspiring, like for that, it's extremely important, two things. One is which track you want to be, that is the most important selection you have to make, because your contribution matters on that. You cannot randomly pick up topics and start writing or start speaking. That's the most important fact. The second is the mentorship, because if you don't have a mentor, he or she will keep you grounded, because it shouldn't be that you're contributing the community only for the heck of MVP, because then it gets lost. The whole the work towards dev community, it gets lost, and it's extremely important for the mentor, because I'm getting my mentorship as well from somebody, and he keeps me grounded in saying that keep contributing, no matter if you are MVP or not. Just keep on contributing to the dev community. So these are the two important facts which I learned from my mentor. Just to add on to what.
Indeed.
I couldn't agree anymore. And to be honest, I have had the pleasure for the last 2 years of mentoring Henry. Henry has been my protege as such, in terms of I have seen him grow from no certifications to over 4, doing really well, loving what he does every day. And that's why both myself and Henry are part of the BCS community, which is the British Computer Society. I'm also an ICS professional as well. So, like Henry and I met through the BCS chapter, and we were in 2 different countries, actually. I'm in Ireland and he's in the UK. So he reached out, I reached out onto BCS and said I wanted to be a mentor well before I'd ever heard of MVP or any other award that has come up in the last few months. And Henry and I think we did nearly a bi-weekly. I think it's going on at least a year and a half, a bi-weekly meeting where we went through all the different Azure topics, the CompTIA stuff. And that's what real mentorship is. It's guiding them. It's, as Henry said, when you get to the stage and you've burnt yourself out, it's building them back up. And it's seeing them flourish for the engineer they can be. And I myself and Henry continue that relationship as time goes on, and eventually we might meet up in the UK and share a pint, hopefully at some stage, just like Dan came over to the US to meet me and Frank, and we had a great time. So MVP is great. It means a lot to a lot of people, and it's amazing to get it. But the mentorship that goes on behind the scenes that nobody sees, that's not published, that's not written down, it's just amazing. Look, I want to thank Roma. Obviously, you have to go. I know it's getting late, Roma. Thank you so much for attending. We really appreciate it, and we'll hope to see you again. If you want to drop off, you can walk away. Yeah. All right.
Thank you. It was nice to meet you. Thank you.
Nice to have you here, Roma.
Thanks.
See you, Roma.
Bye.
Thanks, Roma.
Bye.
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 So, so Arindam, Mitra, it's absolutely correct. Work and contribute in a particular area. I completely agree with you, Arindam. Dan has come out and said mentorship. Great point, Matthew Browne. Okay, so that's really interesting stuff altogether. The next video we're going to play, we're not going to break yet. I just want to remind everyone, media is shown for educational use, just because this is going up on YouTube. I want to remind everyone that when you have your qualifications, the most important thing you can do with Microsoft qualifications is renewals. We all know what they are. We all know what they look like, but why should you do it? Let's find out.
You've worked hard to earn your Microsoft certification, and it shows you can keep pace with evolving technology and succeed in today's digital world. Protect your investment by staying certified. Did you know that Microsoft's role-based and specialty certifications expire unless they're renewed? Now you can renew by passing an unproctored online assessment on Microsoft Learn in 3 simple steps. There's no need to tidy up your office or turn on your camera. And did we mention it's free? Here's how it works. First, sign into Microsoft Learn and connect your profiles. You'll need to choose one personal account for both your Learn and certification profiles. Enter your credentials and log in. Connect your Microsoft Learn profile with your certification profile. You'll only need to do this once. This should be the same account you used to access Microsoft Learn. Okay, you're ready to start. Now you can see which certifications are ready to renew. The assessment measures the skills you need to remain up to date in your job role. It's shorter than the original exam because the assessment focuses only on the latest technology changes. If you want to refresh your skills, use the free learning modules to prepare for your assessment. You can work through all of them or just the ones you need at your own pace. When you're ready, click on Take the Renewal Assessment to begin. The assessment is shorter, less time-consuming, and unproctored. You can take the assessment as many times as you need. Just make sure you pass it before your certification expires. If you don't pass the first time, you can try again right away. But after the second try, you'll need to wait at least 24 hours before your next attempt. That's it. No matter when you pass the assessment, your certification extends for 1 year from its expiration date, and renewal opens 6 months before it expires. Renewing your certification is a great way to keep learning throughout your career. Get started today and stay Microsoft certified.
So that was just a quick video on the renewals for anyone that hasn't seen it. Okay, guys, we're fine. We're at the halfway point. I know we've ran through a lot so far. So the next person speaking is going to be Arindam Mitra. We are going to a 5-minute break to give everyone a break. I think it's well warranted. Okay, so it's going to be 5 minutes. Put your timers on, and we'll see ye back in 5 minutes. All right. Thanks, guys. Sure. Cheers. Hello and welcome back, everybody. That was the fastest 5 minutes I've ever had. Okay, all right. Okay, we're doing good. We're doing good. All right. So, what we're going to do is Arindam's going to give his presentation. After that, we have another quick video, and then we'll move on to Dan, and then we'll do a final Q&A. So now, Arindam, do you want to present?
Yes, thank you so much.
Perfect. Best of luck, Arindam. Thanks a million.
Yeah. Okay, so let me share my screen. Let me know if you guys can see my screen.
We can, yeah.
I can see your screen.
Okay, cool. So, yeah, I mean, Matthew and me, we discussed over LinkedIn that I'm supposed to present one of the associate level certifications, and I chose AZ104, which is the basic, and I think one of the most foundation of the whole Azure cloud adoption certification track. I have kept this. I've kept this whole discussion in a very funny way because AZ104 can be quite overwhelming, and I try to explain in a very funny way the whole AZ104 track and how you can achieve getting certified yourself as an Azure administrator associate. So before we go that, let me introduce myself. My name is Arindam Mitra. I am Microsoft Azure Solutions and DevOps Architect. I am based out in Switzerland. I'm there on LinkedIn. I'm there in GitHub. I'm there. I blog in dev community. I have my speaker session in Sessionize. I specialize in infrastructure as a code and Azure DevOps. So I specialize in Azure DevOps, GitHub Actions, Terraform, PowerShell. These are my core areas, and I blog typically around DevOps and Terraform and automation infrastructure as a code. And I put all my codes all in GitHub. I have just kept this PowerPoint just to introduce myself. And before I go, I just wanted to thank for the opportunity. And this is my email address and everything where you can reach out to me. And before I start, because we are running short of time, and I just don't want to take much of a time. I just want to first thank to Matthew and Dan for providing the opportunity, because this is my third time in Journey to the Cloud. I have been in 4.0, 5.0. Then I was in 6.0, an active participant where we were all supporting women in tech. And then this is a 7.0. Dan and Matthew has been very kind to invite me again as a speaker. Okay, so moving back to my my presentation. So this is my GitHub where I normally keep all my codes and everything. This is all my repositories where you can see, you can find all my codes and you have the README files and everything. This is my speaker session in Sessionize, where you can find all the topics which I have already blogged in, and the codes are available in the GitHub as well. For this presentation, I have already created a blog for myself, and this I have dedicated to Journey to the Cloud. So as you can say that the title itself says that AM and JTDC talks on MS Azure Associate Certification. AM is of course Arindam Mitra, myself, and JTDC is the abbreviation which I coined out for Journey to the Cloud. Okay. So this whole blog I have dedicated to Matthew Browne and Dan Ray's forum, where I'm speaking for the third time, as I mentioned. So let's begin. As you can see in the disclaimer that you don't have to be a Spartan to conquer Azure. Azure is not that difficult. You just have to follow a certain track. For me, how it works is workflow. You just have to understand a service, what that service does, and you just have to create a very good workflow around that whole service to get yourself acquainted that how it can be used in the real world scenario. So as you can see that we are beginning. This certification basically is the logical step towards cloud adoption. So when we talk about cloud adoption, it means that we as a infrastructure world or in the application world, everything runs around data center. And then when we say that cloud adoption, it means that you have to replicate the whole ecosystem which is there in the data center to any cloud. It can be Azure, it can be AWS, it can be GCP, anything. But that whole transition from the data center world to the cloud is actually adoption, cloud adoption. And in order for that cloud adoption to happen, the most important step or the first logical step is to build the base infrastructure. And AZ104 is the logical first step towards building an infrastructure. And that is why it is so important, the certificate, that you have to make sure that you understand and you get certified before you actually start working on a project around cloud adoption. And as you can see in the meme which I have portrayed out here, this is where the problem begins, because when we start adopting cloud, when we start transitioning from one ecosystem to another ecosystem, this is where you start landing up into problems. Training materials, yes, of course. The first logical step is MS Learn AZ104. It's a wonderful track. Everything has been guided, and the modules are being created exactly for anybody to be successful and get certified in Azure Administrator Associate 104. There is also a link in the AZ104 MS Learn website, where they have the official practice test offered. Cost you around about $100, 100 USD or something. But you can take those practice tests to make sure that you are ready before you take the actual examination. I found Viz Labs another a good material apart from MS Learn and the official practice test. Viz Lab offers you also a course. It's a completely video oriented course. If somebody is not into reading the materials, there are a section of people. Somebody loves learning it from a video. Somebody loves learning it from reading. So Viz Lab is something like where you can watch the videos on your own spare time, make your notes, and then at the end of all the things, the notes you have collected over seeing the video, there are like 5 tests available, right? Practice test, which is closest to the real-time examination, and that is how you get yourself ready. And how this is also one good thing I found it. Before you go for AZ104, of course, you have to master the basics, and that is again the fundamentals. AZ900. AZ900 is again one of the good certifications, I would say, because it doesn't bring out the actual reality of how the services will be used, but at least it gives you an awareness that how the core services of Azure looks like or what it does. It's very important to understand the Azure core services in AZ900 before you attempt for AZ104. But again, it completely depends upon the candidate who is actually taking this examination. I have seen many people who directly took AZ104 rather than going for AZ900 because because they were mostly into this whole ecosystem earlier, and somehow they could manage without doing AZ900. But it completely depends upon the candidate, where they are, and the nature of work, what they are doing. So if somebody has no knowledge in Azure Cloud, please feel free to complete your AZ900 first before jumping into AZ104. Moving to this journey to the Azure Administrator Associate, there's also a link available in MS Learn. It exactly lands up into the page which I have taken the snapshot. For the purpose of this demo, I will just increase the font so that you guys can see it properly. So this is a very unique, I would say an OFE, one front end, where you have everything available out here. What are the skills outline guide, how the AZ104 exam looks like, what is the prerequisites, and all possible information which you want. This is all like embedded in one dashboard or one front end. So this, I find it really cool. Apart from this, topics to prepare, and again, there's a skill measured with each of the topics. So there are like 5 sections. One is the identity part, second is storage, third is compute, fourth is networking, and fifth is monitoring and backup. And each of these are like 15 to 20%. So it means that out of the whole 100 percentile examination, 15 to 20% is going to come. Questions are going to come on each of the topics, and this gives you a brief understanding that, okay, on which of the areas you have to be very, very strong. As you can see, that compute and networking, these are the 2 core areas of AZ104, which constitutes the maximum percentile. And this is what I tried to explain at the beginning of my session, that when you are going for a cloud adoption, it means that you have to have the base infrastructure ready, which means that the Azure infrastructure world has to be very, very clear in your head, because if you're not able to build the infrastructure on the cloud, your application will not be able to build, because the application is going to sit on the top of the infrastructure. That is why this is one of the very, very primary certification for your cloud adoption. As you can see that, we mentioned about 5 topics, and I'll just take one topic at a time and try to explain in a short and sweet way, not overwhelming everybody that that it's super difficult, or but try to present it in a funny way. So the first thing is topic again, Azure Managed Identity. As you can see, the user is always perspiring, and of course, this was also one of the things which I encountered when I started Azure almost like 4 years back. So you have like personal account, you have a work account, and then you get mixed up, what to use, what not to use, and this is where it's very important that you understand Azure identities and governance. So this module basically, during your time when you're investing for Azure AZ104 certification, you're going to learn about Active Directory, you're going to learn about users and groups, subscription policies, RBACs. So these all are like the core ingredients which constitutes Azure identities and governance. Moving to the next topic of the certification, that is implementing and manage storage. Yes, this is exactly how we store and we are using storage in cloud. This is the picture which you see. We are just throwing out data in the cloud, and that is how exactly we are storing. That this is just a side note that this is not the way we are doing, but yeah. Again, just to make a fun out of the whole certification. Yeah. So in this one, we learn about storage accounts, blob storage, security around storage accounts, and Azure files, syncing the Azure files, storage tools. There are like 2 typical tools which you are going to use. One is the Storage Explorer, and the second is AZ Copy. So these are the 2 primary tools. One is GUI based, one is command line based. And then how you are going to access the storage in a controlled way using the access keys. There are 2 access keys. One is primary and another is secondary, and there is also a SAS token associated with the storage account, with which you can also access a storage account. SAS stands for Shared Access Signature. So that is how it is done. This is what we talk about controlled access to storage. As you can see in the meme again, that nobody cares about data security and everything. All they care about is what happens to the data when there is thunderstorm. So that is how we take and we make a fun out of the whole data over cloud. Moving to the third topic, deploying and managing Azure compute resources. But nowadays you've been seeing a lot of news that the flights are getting delayed. There are a lot of queues in the airport. This is all because the takeoff and the landing is so difficult nowadays, because all the computes are actually floating in the cloud. There are app services, there are virtual machines. There are also, like, how is the pilot going to make their way above the cloud? So yeah, so this is again now another very, very good area where people should invest their time during the certification in configuring virtual machines. The concept around availability, extension, and Azure automation state and around virtual machines. This is a real, and these are heavily used in use cases, and I use in my real time. App services and app service plan is again one of the areas where, which is also part of the compute, container instance, and Kubernetes services. So these are the container platform. But again, even container instance and Azure Kubernetes is the container platform, but behind the scene, these are nothing but, these are virtual machine scale sets. So that is why they fall under the compute category. Moving to the topic 4, configuring and managing virtual network. Yeah, I mean, like over the weekends, if there is a salesman coming and asking you about, if they want to talk about Azure networking, feel free to talk about, because this is the most important concept around infrastructure. Because if this you don't design properly or you don't understand properly, you cannot build a proper infrastructure in cloud. So don't shove away the sales guy. Let him speak and talk to him, I would say. So in this module, you're going to learn about designing IP address schema. This is the most important part, because you might be from your network, from your network team, you might be getting a chunk of IP addresses, but then you have to understand design and designing how how much block of addresses you want to break in, or how many subnets you want to create, and then creating or configuring virtual network security group, Azure firewall, DNS, peering of the virtual networks, VPN gateway, express route, virtual WAN, network routing, application gateway, load balancers, everything you will learn in this module. You won't be learning in depth, but you will learning this much. I guarantee that you will be able to well deploy it in real world when it comes, when the time is right. And finally, moving to monitoring and backup. Yes, I have an entire team monitoring my Azure projects with binoculars. Trust me, they have all binoculars. I have a team full of people sitting with binoculars, because they are monitoring all my cloud. Yeah, this is not the right way of monitoring, but just making it again a little bit humorous. Yes, so monitoring and backup includes file and folder backups, virtual machine backups, Azure Monitor, Azure Alert, Log Analytics, Kushta Query, Network Watcher, and how the incident response with Azure Alerts. These all configurations you're going to learn in this section, which is one of the most important, because you have built the infrastructure. Now you have to manage and maintain that infrastructure, and this last module is exactly what they are going to teach. That okay, now the infrastructure is ready on cloud. Now what? Now you have to have the day-to-day ops team monitoring this whole thing. And monitoring is not like monitoring these services. Yes, of course, that is one of the part. But you have to also think about disaster recovery. And that is where the backup is coming, because if you have proper backup, then even if there is a disaster, you can recover your backup, you can restore your backup and bring the system alive. That is the most important thing, and that is the last module, which is covered in the AZ-104. People ask, yeah, this is how I react when people ask. So I say, this is one answer. Just Google, just put AZ-104 in Google, and you don't even have to ask anybody. There's no, you don't have to ask any expert in the world, So if you just type AZ-104 on the Google search, you get this bunch of questions, which are really, really cool, because these are the automated question and answer which pops up, and you can see, and you can figure it out on yourself a lot. So this is what a snapshot I have taken. But the most important one I just pinned it, which is like how long does AZ-104 take? So normally it's a three-hour examination, and this was earlier AZ-103, which was later changed to AZ-104. How many questions? I mean, like, how many questions are there? 60 are there, and 120 minutes. And the certification is available. Does it have labs? I know it has labs, but this answer is not that relevant, in the Google search. And how many times you can take? Of course, you can take it like after every 24 hours, after a failed attempt. So this is all about AZ 104, or the best I could make in a funny way, so that you get information and you get somewhere to start on, but you also find it a little bit of humorous and interesting enough to see that when you're making a journey towards cloud or cloud adoption or any certification, it doesn't have to be super serious. You can make a fun out of it, and you can really learn how to do it. So this is all in my blog, and this is dedicated to Journey to the Cloud. I'm not a very person who is very good in making PowerPoint presentation. As I said, I'm mostly into Azure DevOps. I like writing code. I like publishing code. I like running the codes. Matthew knows it. Dan knows it. So that is why I thought that I'll put it in the blog so that it's available. It is also available in the GitHub repository. I've uploaded it. So this is the repo. So if you click on the repo out here, so here you can see that my introduction slide, which I used earlier, it is uploaded here. You have the PowerPoint presentation out here. And then if you go here, you have all the screenshots which I have used. It's also uploaded out here in case you want to use it in your slide later. I have my licenses, and I have the entire README out here. So whatever is published in the blog, the copy is also there in my GitHub. Exact same copy. There's nothing changed out here. And here on the right hand side, you see that I have also linked it up my blog out here. So yeah, feel free to ask any questions if you have. But yeah, this is a very short and a precise way to show that you can have this AZ104 learning in a fun way.
Arindam, that was a fantastic presentation as well as usual. I'll be honest, every time you come on, I've never sat so straight on my seat because I just love the way you present it. Since day dot, you've always been like that. I have always been intrigued. I'm very clued into what you're saying and the back end kind of innuendos and the funny parts of it, and the pictures do represent a good example of people that give quick fire. Sales aren't important, don't listen to them, but they actually are. They're very important, because those people are the ones that are going to sell the solution, sell the time, and they're going to be the ones that make the money for the companies and the clients.
You asked me to make it funny, I did that. So
yeah, no, absolutely spot on. Great stuff. I'm going to bring up a quick thing here. It's 4 slides. So I just want to point out, for anyone that doesn't know, Focus IT is the learning and development website that was created by myself and Frank Falvey. We've collaborated together over the last few months in designing and moving this website. This website is completely hosted on Azure. It's powered by It's powered by app services. So this is fully running on Azure. At the moment, we're still in the process of getting it right in terms of, I suppose, the timings and how long it takes to load pages. It's stuff. Unfortunately, we don't have anyone covering the costs of this, so we're kind of at trial and error stages. So it's just interesting to see that we moved the website over to Azure. It's quite interesting, and the back end is fun. And I do hope to do a very special presentation on the back end of Azure App Services for people looking to kind of get a more associate/expert level introduction to Azure. This is my blog. You can find it on focusit.ie. Really interesting stuff. I have a lot of comments from people up there on it. Perfect. Okay. The MVP if you want to get to know your local MVPs, don't forget you can search them through the Microsoft Most Valuable Professional website. I obviously, before we move on to the final segment of our session, I do want to give a shout out to both, obviously, Frank Falvey and myself. We have a very nerve-wracking weekend coming up with the new MVP nominations being launched the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd of August. So it's been a journey for both me and Frank. We've enjoyed every second of it, and we'll continue to enjoy it. We do what we do because we love it, and we genuinely do. It's the people we meet, it's the communities we make, it's the new people we discover, and the talents we find online through LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook. So every single one of us here have made a difference in each other's lives, and that's, to me, what community and MVP is about. It's the laughter, it's the seriousness, it's the fun times, it's having a joke about things, it's challenging the experts in some way, it's learning from each other. That's what it's all about. I do want to obviously thank Arindam, because that was a really, really good presentation as usual. I've just posted a link to Arindam's blog site, which can be found his GitHub. Okay, and then we also have his I think it's your blog site as well, Arindam, isn't it? So your blog site is that one, dev.to Arindam. Just before we move on, I'm going to do a quick screen share. It's important that everybody sees, really gets to see the people. Can you all see my screen? You can. Okay, great. So we, just to start, to remind people, we had Henry Evans, AMBCS. Henry is on LinkedIn. You can find him. Don't be afraid to reach out. Henry has been working hard on his certifications and has been heavily involved in Focus IT and Journey to the Cloud. After Henry, we had Roma Gupta. She is the Power Apps and former MVP. She is also on LinkedIn. As she said, don't be afraid to reach out. She's very open, but reach out with intent that you want to discuss topics or you have interesting questions. We all love to be challenged every now and again. We have Arindam Mitra, Azure Cloud and DevOps Architect. Arindam is on LinkedIn as well, and I'm sure, Arindam, if you want to say something there, you're more than happy for people to reach out, are you?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, perfect. And just a reminder, as usual, you have myself. I'm on LinkedIn as well. You can always reach out to me. As you can imagine, I'm quite busy. I have a lot of, on average, we get about 175,000 post impressions and comments. So if I don't get back to you straight away, I will get back to you. You also have Dan Ray, who is our lead MVP on the Journey to the Cloud series. You can always reach out to Dan. All things MVP, all things Microsoft Teams. Dan has a litany of experience. You can also, if you'd like, you can also go onto our Microsoft Speakers Club, which is our business page, and you can find anything you need to know on that. And just another final reminder. So our website is live and it works. Obviously, I want to give a shout out to the EU Cyber Awards. I was shortlisted for the cybersecurity newcomer in 2022. Just a quick brief. I'm 12 years in it. I've done over 150 students I've taught. I've 40 plus certifications under my belt. You'll find everything you need to know about Focus IT on the website. We have some great individual reviews from the likes of Gabriel, Lorraine, Frank Falvey, who is on our webinar tonight as well. So our website is powered by Azure, and proudly so. We're very happy with it. And don't forget to have a look at our Meet the Team section, where you can meet all the people that have contributed to our success. Really and truly fantastic team of people. Everybody who I can call out to, they always come on, they always say their bit, they always give interesting presentations. So that's our most valuable contributors. Again, just kind of a more in-depth look at me, so you can see what it is that makes me who I am today. I have some fantastic reviews up there from people that have given me reviews. They're really interesting, and don't be afraid to reach out to those people. They'll be more than happy to validate that. I too also have a blog, and regularly I update this. So if you're ever looking for more interesting things to read, don't be afraid. And we, of course, put up scores, tips, and tricks on the Microsoft certifications. I'm not perfect. I don't pretend to be, but I try to give people a flavor of what it's like in my neck of the woods and how I developed in my career. So that kind of tells you all about that. And then we just have a quick about us section on the website if you want to kind of read quickly about Focus IT and what it is we do. So all very interesting things. So once again, that was great to kind of showcase that. Now, before we move over to Dan, because I know Dan looks like he's about to fall asleep. Okay, so we have one final video before we move over to Dan. And this is something that is another thing I kind of hold dear. Yeah, it's a bit of advertising. It's a bit of free advertising, but it's kind of important because it gives people an idea of what's going on globally in the world with certification and training. And I do think this showcases what it's all about and how people have felt after they pass those exams, after they learn new material, after they communicate with others remotely and in person. So we're just going to go over to a brief video of the Pearson review. I know Frank has to drop off. So Frank, if you do need to drop off, that's no problem.
Frank, it was great to see you again.
Yeah, Dan, I'll pick up on your presentation in the morning.
Yeah. No problem.
Perfect.
Give you some
okay,
feedback.
So just to remind people, we did have a competition for the best presentation. So because it's run on a bit tonight, what we will do is myself, Frank, and Solomon will pick up during the over the next few days, and we'll discuss the presentations briefly, and we'll pick the winner for the next online session for Journey to Cloud 8.0. Unfortunately, it's just run on too long, and I wanted to try and pack everything in. So we will pick the winner, and we'll let them know, and we'll present the award on the next presentation. That's okay with everyone. I do want to thank Arindam, obviously, for coming in and presenting, and Henry, and obviously Dan when he does present. So the award will be given at the next presentation. We'll have it ready for you. So we'll just move over to the Pearson View video, and we'll go from there. On the return, I'll introduce Dan, and we'll go from there. All right?
Perfect.
Okay, thank you, guys.
Getting a job is one thing. Getting the right job requires preparation, being skilled, capable, and ready. Certification is an effective way for students and working professionals to demonstrate the skills and knowledge they possess, which are needed to perform successfully. For students, certification improves graduation rates by over 13%. And certified students frequently have higher grade point averages. Not to mention more likelihood of continued learning and higher confidence. In a competitive job market, certification makes a difference now more than ever. Employees who proactively develop their skills are more frequently noticed and rewarded,
And those with certifications are more likely to receive pay raises and promotions. In fact, an employee with 6 or more certifications earns 8% more than the worldwide average. Bottom line, certifications pay big dividends. Certified employees report having more professional credibility, providing increased value to their employer, having greater self-confidence in their abilities, knowing that their skills translate to real-world applications, and an increase in job satisfaction. Certification also leads to several competitive advantages, including stronger skills to succeed in school and a resume that stands out, making job searching and advancement easier, since 91% of hiring managers note certification as a hiring criteria. The value of certification is real and proven by data. Leaders in education and industry, and even students, have great things to say.
They know they aren't just getting an A in a course, but a skill they can use to get a real job. Denise Spence.
Being certified definitely gave me an advantage. Being proficient in using formulas in Excel allowed me to deliver the results the company was seeking. Christopher Lai.
What could be any more valuable than to facilitate students getting credentials that are recognized by people around the world? Dr. June Atkinson.
Certification has become increasingly relevant because skills have become the currency of 21st century economies. Don't miss the opportunity to add value to your students' careers through certification. To learn more, contact your Certiport representative.
Hello.
Excellent.
Now, who do we have left? We still have Henry. Yeah, we do. We do have a good portion of people. And I think we still have Frank. Okay, all right. I didn't lose my crowd just yet. Okay, so that was just, look, guys, certifications pay big dividends, and it is true. Thanks to certifications, I have moved up in the world in my own career. So they do help, and they help for your self-esteem and your skill set and your ability to do your job the best that you can do. On that note, I want to introduce Dan Ray, MVP. Dan, take the floor, please.
Thank you. So here we go with a presentation. Like many others, I decided to have backup in PowerPoint because if you know tech and the demo gods, sometimes everything goes as planned and other times you have some kind of technical snag. So hoping this goes without any issues. And I went ahead and invited a special guest. Many of you know this individual. They've been around Microsoft since probably 1997. They worked extensively on the Office program. And I decided to reach out and see if we could get some assistance with our presentation today. So besides the Microsoft whiteboard, I would love to introduce my friend, Clippy. It looks like you're about to present, Dan. If I can move this around successfully. Yeah, that's right, Clippy. I'm planning to go ahead and present. And with that, let's put up a black space here, not be too distracting, and bring up some presentation material on what we have today, which is certifications. I got almost the same prompt. I wasn't sure, as I said in social media, I wasn't sure who got what prompts for our topics today. Matthew reached out to each of us individually, told us what we were supposed to speak on, but we didn't know what others were speaking on. We didn't know our speaker order either. This, if I were to ask for a speaker order, would be the place that I am most comfortable, because if I am given the last spot in a presentation, I've had an opportunity to see everybody else's. So I don't have to worry about, oh, I've stolen somebody else's thunder, or I chose the same exact topic as somebody else. My topic was similar to our previous presenter. However, I chose a different associate level exam to talk about. The first thing that I will mention is, as I looked at Microsoft's website and did a sort on the certifications that are skill-based, that are job-focused, and intermediate, I came up with several pages worth of certifications that Microsoft has that have the word associate in the title. Everything from Dynamics to Azure specifics to Microsoft Teams were on this list. The third page, because I'm showing 8 at a time, gets us up to 24 of these different certifications that are available. And the last 2 pages had 6 associate exams per page to choose from. So we're at 30. And finally, I came up with 36 associate level exams that you can choose from as you are thinking about something beyond the fundamentals from Microsoft's perspective. So if you're thinking about an associate level exam from Microsoft, you have plenty of choices. I could look at something that begins with MS, something that begins with AZ for Azure. I could look at something that begins with MB for the Microsoft business types of certifications. There's plenty. SC for security associates. But out of all those certificates and certifications that are available, the one I chose to speak to you about is MS 700. And I'm sure Matthew had an inkling that that might be the exam that I would speak about, because it is the exam that I teach the most. It's the technology I'm most passionate about. And it is the first of 3 formal Microsoft Teams certifications that I received probably almost a year and a half ago. I haven't gone through my first renewal cycle. And Matthew, I'm sure I'll provide you some feedback on what that renewal cycle, the online self-proctored exam quiz looks like for Teams. So MS 700 is the choice that I had, that I chose to speak about. And one thing that I thought about as I prepared for this was some of the things I have learned in Microsoft Teams, both from the admin and the user side, come from looking at the roadmap and looking what's coming next for Microsoft Teams. So I took some screenshots here in my PowerPoint as my backup of my Microsoft Teams environment. And you can see that I have a P up by my picture in the upper right. The reason for that P is for preview. I have in my tenant, in my Microsoft 365 tenant for my company, DESA Enterprises, the preview turned on for both Office applications like PowerPoint and all of the other Office applications you're familiar with, but I also have it turned on for Teams. So it's easy enough for me in my environment to go into the 3 dots to the left of my picture, go down to the About choice, and then choose to turn on the developer preview. You'll notice in this screenshot, there is no little P in the upper right, because you have to choose to turn on the developer preview, and then Teams itself, the application, restarts, closes and restarts. And then once you have the developer preview turned on, you get that little P to indicate that you're running these preview features within Microsoft Teams. One of the other things that I noticed recently about Teams was the ability to join with an ID. So as opposed to having to have the link to a meeting, if I have the join information, I can also now join a Teams meeting with the meeting ID and passcode information that is provided as part of the invite. So numerous ways to actually start a Teams meeting. We're not using Teams today. However, we're using Restream. And Restream as a technology uses Microsoft's Azure cloud in the back end. So that is one reason we chose Restream as our streaming partner for Journey to the Cloud, was that it's using Azure as the back end and Microsoft's services, cloud-based services, as part of its delivery mechanism to several platforms. We're live on LinkedIn, our Microsoft Speakers Club page. We're live on Facebook, Twitter, and many other platforms. And we can do that with Restream's technology. Now, recently, I also learned about a feature in Teams where if I join a meeting, I can actually use Teams to go live with LinkedIn Live. However, I haven't figured out how to go live with other platforms. So Restream still has that reach that we're looking at for Journey to the Cloud, but I've done some demos of the custom streaming preview that I can plug into a Teams meeting to have multiple people participate. And as you look at the certification for Microsoft's MS700, Managing Microsoft Teams, one thing that becomes clear about that certification is that it allows you to take a look at a lot of different information. And so I am building out a set of documentation to expand upon the skills required for the Microsoft Teams MS700 exam. And if we take a look at this in Microsoft Word and make it a little bigger here, we'll get the different sections that you need to understand for the MS700 exam itself. And let me very quickly move around my whiteboard here to get that out of the way on my video. There we go. One area that is 35 to 40% of the Microsoft exam for Microsoft Teams and managing that environment is planning and configuring. So you have areas that you would document information on, including, let's see if I can turn on my edit features here. There we go. Draw. Including the configuring network settings for Microsoft Teams. And at least for me, this looks a little grainy on my preview. I'm going to hop over to another phone here and see what the video looks like on our Microsoft Speakers page. Like I said, it wouldn't be a live event if we didn't have some kind of potential issue here. And sure enough, it looks a little grainy on my phone as well. The one thing that I've noticed about the application and this computer that I've chosen to use is the resolution of the computer seems way too high for Restream to successfully display information. So I'm going to drop my resolution here, unshare and reshare my computer screen, and see if things get any crisper. It doesn't look like they do. So let's see if I put this in my backup slides, which I think I did. Put in some screenshots of some other features if we have time. And then I believe, did I do so? Yes, I put in this screenshot, which is still a little small, but hopefully allows you to see the information in the different sections of the Microsoft MS 700 exam. Like was mentioned before, if you search for MS-700 exam on Bing or Google, the very first item that comes up on Bing for me is the exam page for managing Microsoft Teams. And so if I take a look here at my whiteboard app, I can use my whiteboard maybe to document some of what we're talking about here. Let's see if I can move my whiteboard around successfully. There we go. That may actually work. So just overlay it with my browser here. Let's see if I can make it a little smaller. It's always something when it comes to tech, I tell you. There we go. Look at that. We'll just make the video like that. And then we'll see if that looks okay in Restream here. So turn this off and I'll leave this up. So as we look at the skills measured in this Microsoft exam, the very first area, plan and configure a Microsoft Teams environment, is 35 to 40% of what you are going to get questions on. Super important to understand that area because it's the majority of the exam. And this would be everything from the network planning to the groups that you're going to have people create or that are going to be created when you use Teams. And the download skills exam outline is where we got that information that I was showing earlier, where I can see the network settings information, the licensing requirements for Teams, the security and compliance information, and then planning and implementing governance for Microsoft Teams. And then finally, the managing external and guest access, as well as Teams devices, are all part of that 35 to 40% of the exam. The next section that you're going to be asked questions on includes chat, Teams, channels, and apps. So you'll get questions about the creation of Microsoft Teams. If you've ever used Teams, you're probably wondering, what could they ask that I don't already know? In clicking on the lower left and saying create a team and then naming the team or looking at my options. As an administrator and managing Microsoft Teams, you can change that behavior. You can even join teams that you're not a member of as an admin And you can also look at information about how those teams are used. You can create org-wide teams, or you can turn off these capabilities so your end users can't do some of these capabilities in Microsoft Teams. You also have a unique capability called dynamic membership. And this is a special type of Microsoft 365 group that is automatically controlled from a membership perspective. So imagine you have an exam question that says you are in charge of a Teams environment. You have an accounting group, and accounting has high turnover, maybe seasonally or just as a department, people come and go from accounting. You want, with the least amount of administrative effort, to maintain the membership of the accounting team. How would you do that? What dynamic membership allows you to do is set up a rule that says if you're in the department accounting, you're automatically part of the team accounting or Contoso accounting or whatever the accounting team is called. Dynamic membership automatically moves you in and out of that department as your department changes. Those choices that you use for dynamic membership can include things like location. So I could have accounting East Coast and accounting West Coast by looking at both department and maybe location information in Azure Active Directory. Same thing for planning and managing channels. If you've ever looked at channels in Microsoft Teams and you're familiar with them, you may think, well, why or how would they ask a question that I don't already know the answer to? Well, they'll ask about private channels. They'll ask about the underpinnings of how channels are managed, the choices you have there. Same thing with chat and collaboration experiences. Pretty simple when you think about it from the end user perspective. But as an administrator, I can change things like messaging policies, turning on and off stickers or the Giphies that I can use to make Teams chat a little less formal. Arindam, when he was presenting, was the person I was thinking of for this. If he's using all those cool memes, I want to encourage that because it makes that communication maybe more fun, maybe less formal feeling. But for some organizations or departments, that may be the informal that you don't want at work. So as an administrator, you can turn that off for everybody in your organization, or you can turn it off for particular departments or divisions in your organization. Same thing with apps. Apps by default in Teams are why it's called a hub for collaboration. However, as the administrator, you can turn this off if you choose. I'm also keeping track of time. We're at 21 minutes. So I'm going to wrap this up with the last two sections of our exam, which include managing calling and meetings, which is only 15% to 20% of the exam questions you're going to get. Similar to previous examples, the skills measured breaks down the individual items that you need to feel comfortable with or confident with because you could be asked questions. Live events. I have a lot of experience with Restream, StreamYard, and other technologies, managing, creating, and facilitating as a producer live events. I've worked on projects where I've had the privilege of working with teams at particular companies in implementing how live events versus regular meetings are used within their organization. Microsoft, since some of those projects, has released webinars, which sits somewhere in the middle of a highly produced and curated live event. Think about like the president of your company addressing everybody. You'd want that to be managed and maybe produced versus a meeting that's very informal. Webinars allow you to have things like a sign up ahead of time. Managing phone numbers. If I have the phone system configured for Microsoft Teams, there are all sorts of specifics that I need to understand for this exam to get through the questions that you will encounter. And then finally, you have the managing the phone system for Microsoft Teams. MS700, the focus is a little lighter on these areas, as well as the monitoring and troubleshooting information, 10 to 15%. There are the reports that you can run from a use perspective, and troubleshooting audio, video, and client issues. And this has been updated for the changes that will be implemented on August 1st this year, this coming Monday. So with that, I have taken you through a whirlwind of both using OBS, Open Broadcaster software. That's how I'm superimposing either the whiteboard with Clippy or the browser or my computer on top of my video. And we can turn off one of these layers here so that you're only seeing me on the video. And we've talked about MS700, Managing Microsoft Teams, my favorite associate level exam by far, because it's Microsoft Teams and it's a journey to the cloud. So it's a cloud focused exam for all of you. And with that, we are at 4:24. And I think I hit the 25-minute mark by hopefully a few seconds early.
Presenter, wouldn't you, Dan? you're well versed. You're well versed in it. I'll just see if we can get everyone back in there. Yeah. A1, Dan. Absolutely A1. You did teach me a few things I didn't know about Teams and what you could do. Henry made a good point there. I'd have to agree with him. On a second, we'll see if we can get this up on the too long. Okay. Yeah, this was a great run through the MS700. I frequently have to troubleshoot teams within the organization I work for. This knowledge would really be useful. So yeah, no, he's spot on. Okay, so what's interesting, I've been learning more about things. I haven't that more. Okay, that's a good one as well, Salman. We'll see if we can get that up for our viewers. Yeah, we can. Salman, I've been learning more about Teams, and I have learned a lot more now. I love it. The comments are brilliant. Dan, as usual, you're quite well versed in the whole presentation point of view. Very interesting. Teams is something that I'm sure you'll get me into really looking at doing one of those exams. I haven't done them yet. It's pity they don't make Teams fundamentals exams. What do you think, guys?
They had a fundamentals like exam called the Microsoft Service Adoption Specialist. That's moved to Microsoft Learn, so it's no longer. It was on edX.
It's no longer an exam. We had very nice presentation. And yeah, actually, just to come back to something, Arindam, Pat Noor said very nice presentation in a funny way. Some of the comments are brilliant. Really good stuff. I know we're kind of pushing the boat on this one, but it's been a while since we've done a long presentation that's worthy of people looking at it. So just to continue on that note, just to give you a heads up, we have about 10-15 minutes left of this, and then we'll be done. I do want to just move on to our final video. This video is, I suppose, a bit of dedication to Zeshan in Zeshan Satar in CompTIA. He came on board with us a few months back, and both himself and myself have been communicating, and we're hoping to get him back on, but on a different level of CompTIA stuff. I do have some really exciting news for everyone. Where do you start? So the first bit of good news is my Focus IT has become a Microsoft Learning partner. So what that means going forward is we're just in the process of tidying up a few service level agreements and stuff. What that means is we can provide training to people who want to do fundamentals and for free, obviously, like Microsoft Learn. That includes vouchers, materials, books, ebooks, anything like that. We can also provide training for the associate and expert level exams, also for free, which is quite nice. So my dedication to the next few years is having Focus IT recognized as a Microsoft Global Partner worldwide. We're in the process of getting our website changed on some of the pages. They haven't gone live yet, but we're hoping to put up live labs, live videos. Some of it's myself and Frank Falvey will be doing it. We'll be taking chunks of weekends out of our time to do it, just to give people a real kind of hands-on approach rather than having to always attend our webinars. People who want to be able to get the quick answers to the questions, not guaranteeing that our information is going to be perfect. It's like everyone, we're all learning. If anyone's happy to participate in that, I would definitely ask that you get in contact with me. My email address is matthew@focus-it.ie. Okay, and you should see that coming up on your screen there in a second. So that's matthew@focus-it.ie. We also have the other bit of news is Focus IT has joined forces with Credly. Credly is the badging platform which is used by Microsoft, CompTIA, Cisco, all the big vendors. So we're going to be launching our own set of courses in the next few months. So watch out for that. It'll be going live on our website shortly, along with our Microsoft partnerships. So some really interesting stuff. Now, just a reminder to everyone, everything that's done on the Focus IT website is free of charge. If you want to do one-to-one and mentoring, don't hesitate to get in contact with me. If it's a case of you want to do weekends and you need longer, I suppose, time with me or Frank Falvey, or I'm sure Dan might offer 1 or 2 sessions on team stuff. If we get numbers, we can arrange that. So just don't be afraid to reach out to us. Dan, excellent presentation, really good stuff. I do want to, before we go to the video, I want to I'll just show this up again so we have it. Thank you, Henry, for your comment. We'll definitely get you on for the team's presentations. Something really interesting, and Dan's going to get a good laugh here. So I do want to congratulate Dan on something. The Enrico Lima Award was established to honor the contributions of the Enrico Lima, a husband, a father of 2, an MCT, and a regional lead who went above and beyond expectations to build a vibrant MCT community. Enrico personified the spirit of the MCT community, and today the award is given to those who embody the same knowledge, passion, and commitment to Microsoft community as a whole, and specifically to the MCT program. So the reason I bring this up is we can see here Dan is an MVP as well, and his contributions are widely accepted and promoted throughout the MVP community. I bring it up because both myself and Frank Falvey have nominated Dan for an Enrico Lime Award. We believe Dan, with a 22-year history in Microsoft technologies, in helping others in the MCT community, really shows that spirit. And I couldn't be happier than to see someone like Dan get the award. So, Dan, I do wish you luck when they come to pull out the results, and I hope they see that, because you're so invaluable to the MCT community. You're a good friend to myself, Frank, and everyone here, and you and I started this from nothing. So really, honestly, I couldn't ask for a better friend and a better host in all of this. Honestly, thank you, Dan.
Likewise, it's this was kind of like a moonshot of, hey, could we grow something that's not just you and me? And we've definitely grown to push the limits of Restream with 10 guests on the platform at one time, and great presentations, engaging, women-focused presentations. Finding women in our networks has been just phenomenal.
Yeah, absolutely. And we hope to continue that. Now, we're going to go to our final video, and then we'll come back for a 10 minute chat. And I want to hear from everyone on what they thought about the presentations tonight. Myself, Solomon, and Frank will go back. We'll reach out to each other over the next few days, and we'll organize a chat to discuss what we thought of the best presentation. So we'll have those results for the next session, which won't be that far away, maybe 2 weeks, I think. But we'll see. It could be earlier, it could be maybe a few days later, depending on how results go next week with some of the stuff we're waiting on to see where everything is at. Okay, so we're going to go to the video, and then we'll have a 10-minute recap and roundtable talks. Okay, so this video is about 3 or 4 minutes long, not even, I don't think. So we'll go to it. Once again, thank you to Zeshan for coming on the session a few months back, and for his continued support online and through the website and the DMs he was sending me over the last few days, wishing myself and Frank luck. So we'll just move to the video, and we'll be back in 3-4 minutes, okay?
Sounds good.
IT, one of the most diverse and fastest growing industries in the world. And with elements of IT in almost every industry, the choice of which career to pursue is endless. You could develop the next breakthrough in digital communications, or protect people's data from being sold on the black market, or even help a small startup business get ahead by being more technologically streamlined. And as technology progresses, the IT industry is going to need more and more people to help discover, manage, and secure its capabilities. But there's a problem. Right now, there's a large skills gap between the skills job seekers have and what employers need. And with so many different courses and training options out there, how can you know which one will give you what you need to land a job? So your options are either going in, starting at ground level and slowly working your way up, or taking an internship with a whole bunch of other recruits and hoping you survive the training process. Validating your skills doesn't have to be this difficult. That's where CompTIA comes in. We are the leading provider of vendor-neutral IT certifications in the world. That means we can validate your IT skills across a wide range of technologies. Whether it's in networking, cloud technologies, or security, with a CompTIA certification, you'll get the boost you need to get the job you want now. And because CompTIA certifications are recognized globally, regardless of where you choose to work, you'll have in-demand credentials. With the CompTIA certification, the world is literally your oyster. Contact the CompTIA Academy team at academy@comptia.org to find out how you can get started in IT. For more information on CompTIA certifications, visit certification.comptia.org.
So that was just a brief overview of CompTIA certifications. Once again, Focus IT is a CompTIA partner, and we are delighted to help anyone in their journey from the basics of CompTIA ITF Plus to A Plus, Network Plus, Security Plus, and so on. So yeah, that's that. Guys, presentations. What did we think? Arindam, you're smiling. Come on, tell me. Talk to me. What did you think of the presentations tonight? Were they interesting?
Yes, I find Henry's one was really interesting enough. The one thing which I really liked was the QR code, which I'm going to use in my GitHub very soon. I really like that idea. The other thing is the abbreviation, the Pratt, very innovative. I mean, like these things, it's like, catching things, you don't even have to remember the entire slide which you presented, but, just the abbreviation itself, it will take you a long way. That was a good innovation. The one which Roma presented, that is what I am going to use in some projects. I need to automate a few things, and I'm going to use Power Platform. Maybe I do a good demo maybe next time, Matthew. So I'm going to invest a lot of time on Power Platform because I use Logic Apps a lot. I automate, So the low code, no code thing started with the whole Logic App things. And now, they are just translating this whole thing into Power Platform.
Over to Power Platform.
Yes, yeah. So you can do a lot of automations and kind of a thing. So I'll come up with some good use cases if I manage to implement. So yeah, this is overall a lovely thing. Regarding the teams, we do have a lot of actions going on in teams, but unfortunately, there are two different teams. So I am actually the lead in the architect in the Azure world, and there is another person who is looking into teams, and I don't have the whole idea or rather hands-on experience on setting up teams from very scratch. But it is good actually to see that how teams is growing over the period.
I think this whole idea of that people are jack of all trades is kind of gone now. You kind of specialize in the areas you specialize in because that's what you enjoy. Solomon, obviously you and I will be speaking over the next few days. Will yourself, myself and Frank will have a meeting. Without giving too much of away, what did you think of the presentations tonight in general?
Yeah, so tonight, I would say everybody did very well with their presentation. And looking at, starting from Henry, I wish I actually followed the path when I was starting because I didn't really know where to start from. I was just browsing around, but he took time to explain it. And I even had to tell some people that I know that they should just try to come and listen to Henry, because they've been asking me how to start, and I felt he gave like a very good presentation about that. And talking about Roma, the Power Apps is something, me personally, I have always said that I would look for time and see how I can get into it fully, because I was once a programmer. So I want to just try to explore it because I've not really used it before. So that's why I had to pay more attention to just understanding how it works. And I would say I've learned a lot in that aspect. And I will do my own personal research about the whole this thing. And talking about Arindam, he really did well, like coming with those pictures, shooting the files to cloud using a catapult and all of that. It was really nice. Like it was like learning with fun also. So that was something I also enjoy listening to. Then talking about the Teams aspect, for some months now, I've been working on Teams. Like I've been trying to do a lot, not just with Teams, because I've also been trying to see how I can grant permissions to files that are shared in organization, and also try to block users and teams from accessing some particular files. So because of that, I spent a lot of time going through Teams. I even wrote the MS 700 and the 720 exam, which gave me my expert badge this month. So I spent time, I've been learning a lot, even getting some of the license that I could not get free, like the phone system, so I could test them on users. So also listening to Dan, and since Dan has been in the game for long, I think he also threw some light on some aspects that I would do my own personal research later. And in all, I think tonight was actually a great night, and I really enjoyed my time this night. So I think later on, me and Matthew could always do the conversation later.
Yeah, absolutely. I genuinely want to thank Henry. Henry, I know the audio for some reason doesn't seem to come through on my side tonight on restream from your stream. So just, I know we won't be able to hear each other. I look back on it. Genuinely, it was one of your presentation, the methodology behind it and the way you presented it was actually really good. I have never in my life heard of something like Pratt. Never. And if someone had explained that to me as well when I started off, I would have probably, by now, I would probably have 80, 90 exams done. If I had been taught that way, I would have. Unfortunately, I was the other way. I ended up just diving into everything, and that's the way I did it. But what you have said tonight will probably change a lot of people's lives in terms of the fundamentals. So I think that will make a difference to people. So thank you for that, Henry. And it was a great presentation. Kudos to you. So once again, we've had Arindam, we've had Henry, we've had Solomon, Dan, Frank, and we had Roma as well. All great presenters, speakers, and listeners. Genuinely, thanks to everyone for coming tonight. I know it was a long one. I am looking very much forward to the next presentation. If you want to give a demo, so my thinking is we're going to do demos for the next one. And what I mean by that is it's not going to be a demo that you record. It's going to be a live demo like we have done in the past where Arindam gave pipeline demos. And what I want is people to be able to share their screen and show us something that we don't know. Show us something that I can go off and learn, or Dan can learn, or Henry or Solomon or Frank, any of us. We all have a skill in different areas. And sometimes even the basics can catch us all out. So I'm really interested to see what the basics, Henry, what you will come up with in your Azure training that you did and your exams. So you can show us something new on Azure. I would like, if Solomon's happy, would you like to do a demo for the next one, Solomon?
That would be fine. Yeah. Perfect. I always love doing demos.
So we're going to have Henry, Solomon. We're going to have Arindam back again doing a demo. And for once in a long while, we're going to have me doing a demo. I'm going to do something, which I'd say you're all like, we never see you doing much demos on this. That's because I keep all my skills to myself. Joke. I'm going to do a demo on Azure, but it's going to be from like Arindam, it's going to, and Solomon, it's going to be from an associate expert level. So it's going to be complex, fun, but interesting, and it's something people come across more often than you think. So that's a good one to have a think about if you can guess what I'm going to do it on. And if you can guess what I'm going to do it on, I'd ask you to send it to me on LinkedIn. And I will, or else, to make this even more interesting, I'm going to ask you to send it to Dan, because Dan's not going to tell me what she said. And that Dan's good like that. He won't tell me. So if we can kind of have a guess on it. Either send it to Dan or Arindam. That way, if we don't send it to Dan, everyone knows Arindam's not going to tell me anyways. So maybe everybody send their guess to Arindam, actually. And then Arindam, you take a screenshot of all the guesses, and we'll see if they were right.
Sure.
Any of them were right. So I think that'd be an interesting one, just to have a bit of fun for the next one. So yeah, honestly, guys, thanks a million. It was lovely to see you all again on Journey to the Cloud 7.0. I'm going to ring us out with the intro / exit. Guys, have a good evening. Enjoy your weekends, and I'll see you all again.
Just one
Yeah.
second, Matthew. In the next session, would it be okay if I present something on GitHub Actions?
Yeah, that'd be amazing. Even if you want to do GitHub, go for it. I suppose, if we've two people doing Azure, we don't want to kind of saturate. Sure. Yeah, you're right. And Solomon, did you have something as well?
Yeah, I think I would prefer working with the Microsoft 365, either Exchange, one of them.
Yeah.
So,
Either of them will do, because I need to start getting my Exchange and Office 365 learning back up again. I haven't looked at it properly in the last few months, so if I can learn something, that'd be amazing off it. Dan, for the next presentation, you're going to be the MC to give me a break if I'm demoing. So that works for everybody. Okay, guys, once again, thanks a million. Have a good evening. I'll see you at the next event. We will send out the links in about a week's time. I'm taking annual leave, so I'm going to be gone from Monday onwards. But I will have everything arranged. I'm looking at the timeline really, guys, and I'm thinking now the 28th of July. I'm thinking the next event won't be till about the 18th of August, which I think is a fair run, because I'm going to be on annual leave. So, and other people will be on holidays and everything else. So the next event will be the 18th of August. I'm on annual leave next week. Have a great time away. Come on, Henry. We're both taking it at the same time. So, look, we'll all speak on the 18th of August. I'm thinking if 7 o'clock Irish time suits people better, would that be better just with how it went today? It kind of goes on a bit longer. Does that suit everyone?
I think that works for me.
Yeah. So just will you let me know if you have any issues, because I want to schedule it an hour earlier, just with how long some of them go on, and that we're not rushing through people's presentations. So, okay, 18th of August, 7 p.m. Irish time. We'll send out the invites and stuff, and we'll you have a session on the 18th, do you, Arindam? Okay, how about we do it for the 19th? Would that work for you? Okay, we'll do it on the Friday. Friday is a good day because we're all finished work. So we'll do it on
Thank you so much.
We'll do it on the 19th. Is that okay with everyone?
That's fine.
Perfect. Okay, so it'll be the 19th at 7 p.m. We will send out the invites in advance, at least 5 days. Usually I try to give at least a week's notice, usually. Thanks a million, guys. Have a good one. All right.
Take care, everyone.
Thanks for coming. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.